Live on Facebook. Okay, sir. So live on both sides. Oh, good. Only up here, I imagine. You need to stand. Kagar mouth, present yourself.
Kagar mouth, Banya Hawda, Banya Shala.
Kagar mouth, Banya Hawda, Banya Shala.
Yahweh Shem Yahshua Brakatham.
Yahweh Shem Yahshua Brakatham. It's not so you go to the orange. This is what right here. This here.
La Yashala.
You can blow it again, sir. So like so. Blow it again, sir. One more time, so it's a lot. Christ. Walk on YAHANNA. Slack. Imagine, which means to stand. Walk on YAHANNA, which means turn and face the east. We're going to do the Lord's Prayer in English. Slack. We do the Lord's Prayer first.
Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, I.S.U.P.K, Yahweh, Malak-with-Ka, Taba'ah, I.S.U.P.K, Ba'aratazah, Kawah, Bashemayim, Nathanaw, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalakanaw, Kabawaf, Kasalak now, Wala'ah, Tabi'ai now, Banasai one, Abol, Hawashai now, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Lakka, Amalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahatapara, La'ai Aman.
In the English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it.
We'll say pray for the power in Hebrew. Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahushua. Baba Koshah. Nathanahu. Hakak. Larpa'a. Kamagala. Wakamarawa. Hakak. Latahar. Amatazariah. Hakak. Lahakwiyam. Hamathiam. Hakak. Arakawa. Hatama'ala. Garashun. Ba'ashem Yahushua. The water Aman.
And in the English, Yahweh. In the name of Yahweh, please give us the power. The power to heal. All manner of sickness. And all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the leper. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. To cast them out. In the name of Yahweh. Thank you. So be it.
Psalm 121 in the Hebrew. Asha'ah. Ayanya. Al-Hahariam. Ayan. Yaba'a. Izaria. Ma'aim. Yahweh. Aisha. Shemayim. Wa'arakazah. Al-Yathan. Lamawat. Regalka. Al-Yanawam. Shamarka. Hanna. La'a. Yanawam. Wala'at. Yayashun. Shawamar. Yasharala. Yahweh. Shamarka. Yahweh. Tazalka. Al-Yad. Yamyanka. Yawamam. Ashamash. La'a. Yakaka. Wayarak. Balayala. Yahweh. Yashamarka. Makalrad. Yashamar. Athapashka. Yahweh. Yashamar. Taza'afka. Wabawa'aka. Ma'itha. Wa'ai. Awalam. Aman. And in the English, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills. From whence cometh my help? My help cometh from Yahweh. Which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day. Nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee. From all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out. And thy coming in. From this time forth. And even forevermore. So be it. Psalm 53 in the Hebrew. Alahayim. Al-Damayalaka. Al-Thagarash. Wa al-Tashakwat. Al-Yahanna. Al-Wabika. Ahama Yawan. So like it. Yahama Yawan. Wama. So like it. Wama.
Kuk.
Nasha'awa. Ra'ash. Al-Imaka. Yara'at. So like it. Ya'ira Yawam. So what? Why you think I tazawa? Altazap Yawan. Altazap Pawan. Yaka. Armawa. Lakawa. Wanna cock you them. Magaria. Wala'a. Yazakar. Shem Yasharala.
Shem Yasharala.
I.W.A.
Kaya.
Now I Tazawa.
Now I Tazawa.
La. Yakadwa. Al-Yaka. Baryath. Yakarathwa. Ahaya. Gabal. Wa'ima Wa'amalak. Palashaf. I.S.U.P.K. Tazawar. Gum Ashawar. Nalawa. I'm. Hayawa. Zarawai. Labanya Lawat. Salah. I.S.U.P.K. Laham. Kamadian. Kayasara. Kayabian. Banakal. Kwayashwan. Nashamadwa. Baiwan. Da'ara. Hayawa. Daman. La'adama. Shayathamwa. Nadayamawa. Ka'ara. Wakatazamanai. Cow. Nasayarkam. Ashar. Amawa. Nayarasha. Lanawa. Na'af. Na'awaf. Alahaya. Shayathamwa. Kagagala. Kakwash. Lapanya Raka. Ka'ash. Zabaira Yaira. Wakalahaba. Talahat. Haryam. Khan. Daradama. Basaraka. Habasawapaka. Tabahalam.
Mala.
Panyaham.
Kwalawan.
Baya Bakwashwa. Shamka.
Yahawa.
Yabashwa. Waya Bahawa. Idi. Waya Kaparwa. Waya Yabadwa. Waya Da'aiwa. Kaya. Atha. Shimka. Yahawa. Labadka. Al-Yawan. Cow. Ha'aratiza. Aman. And in the English, keep not thou silence, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace. And be not still. O Yahweh. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult. And they that hate thee. Have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel. Against thy people. And consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off. From being a nation. That the name of Israel may be no more remembered. For they have consulted together. With one consent. They are confederate against thee. the tabernacles of Edom, and the Israelites, of Moab, and the Hagarenes, the Baal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also was joined with them. They have opened the children of Lot. Salah, do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kishon, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zeb. Yea, all their princes, as Zabah, and as Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of Yahweh in possession. O Yahweh, make them like they will, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth the wood, and as a flame set the mountain on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. O Yahweh, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth. Amen. Power structure. We'll do the blessings.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Why
Yahweh Shai. Wama Yaka Allah. Wa Alahayim. Matazabiyah. Alawap Yahanna. Ha Sarunyam. Hakwatazayanyam. Hakayayoyam. Wahwafian. Yahweh. Bashim Yahushai. The what Amen.
And in the English, bless you, Yahweh. And Yahweh and Michael. And the angel. Commanding General YAHANNA. The general. The captain. The officer. The trooper. And the sister. Yahweh. In the name of Yahweh. Thank you. So be it. Saul, which means to sit. You can have a seat, Saul. Oh, Salakia. I.S.U.P.K, which means to sit. I'll fix that. Up here, I.S.U.P.K. We left off at last week. You got on your phone. 1 Samuel. First Samuel 20, verse 24. 1 Samuel 20 and 24. We're going to read it in the Hebrew first. When you get it, go ahead. Might get scroll all the way down. You go to it, and you go back to the regular. Yeah, let's go back to the regular. Get out the search box. When you go like this, you should be able to hit the side.
So question.
Come.
Get it to that.
Come.
Always hit it. It's not going to be that. Okay. It's like a little chapter in there.
1 Samuel 20 and 24.
20. Nah, the bigger one. You keep, let me see that one too. You can bring the bigger one too.
Come.
1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 24.
YAHSATAR, Dawada, Bashada, YAHYA, HaKadash, YASHAR, Hamalak, Al, Halakam, YASAWAL, verse 25, YASHAR, Hamalak, Al, Maya Ashawa, Kaga'aim, Baga'aim, Al, Mawashar, Hakayah, Wayakam, Wahawanat, Wayanathan, Wayashar, Abanar, Matazad, Sha'awal, YAPK, Makawam, Dawada, verse 26, Wala'ah, Dabar, Sha'awal, Wama'ama, Bayawam, Hahawa'ah, Kaya, Amar, Makwama'ra'ah, Hawa'ah, Balathaya, Ta'awar, Hawa'ah, Kaya, La'ah, Tahawar, verse 27, Wayahaya, Mamaka Hakodash, Hayashanaya, Wayapakat, Makawam, Dawada, Waya Amar, Shawa'ala, Al, Wayahanathan, Banawa, Wadawa'ai, La'ah, Ba'ah, but Ban, Yashia, Gama, Thamawa'ah, Lama, Hayawam, Al, Come, verse 28, Waya'ain, Yahanathan, Sha'awal, Nasha'ala, Nashana'ah, Dawada, Ma'ai, Madaya, Bayah, Lakam, verse 29, Waya Amar, Shalakanaya, Na'ah, Kaya, Zabak, Mashapakaya, Lanawa, Ba'ayar, Wahawa'ah, Tazawa'ah, Laya, Ikaya, Wa'athaya, Ain, Mataza'athia, Kana, Ba'anayak, Imalataya, Na'ah, Wa'ara'aya, Akaya, Al, Kana, La'ah, Ba'ah, Wada Athaya, Kaya, Bakar, Athaya, Labana, Washaya, Yashia, Labashak, Walabashah, Irawath, Imak, verse 21. Kaya, Cal.
It's verse 30.
Verse 30, and you're going to stop at that. We'll sign class. You're reading in English? Yeah, right here. Yeah. Okay. 1 Samuel 20 and 24.
The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 20, verse 24. So David hid himself in the field, and when the new moon was come, the king sat him down to eat meat.
So what's happening right here is where we left off from last week. David and Jonathan spoke together, and they said, so they came up with the plan. King Saul's having this dinner. Like you said, it's usually our custom for when we have big dinners. Everybody comes out to the dinner and attend and wear their fly garments like Israel does. David said he's not going to show up. You know what I'm saying? He tell him, I asked for you leave. You know what I'm saying? Like how we asked for leave from our employers today. And so David said, if your father, King Saul, is angry that I'm not there, then surely he's trying to kill me. You know what I'm saying? If he just asks of you why I'm not there, then maybe his anger is not kindled. So we read now is the plan being brought out. David is hiding in the field as this dinner is taking place. Keep reading.
Verse 25. And the king sat upon his seat, as at other times, even upon a seat by the wall. And Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty.
David's place was empty because they carrying out the plan. David's in the field hiding right now. Keep reading.
Nevertheless, Saul spake not anything that day, for he thought something had befallen him. He is not clean. Surely he is not clean. And it came to pass on the morrow, which was the second day of the month, that David's place was empty.
So this is the second day. The first day, Saul was like, okay, maybe he unclean. Maybe something happened to him, something slight. Maybe he'll be here tomorrow. So the second day came and David was hiding again. He wasn't at the banquet again that King Saul had. Keep reading.
And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meet, neither yesterday nor today?
So now King Saul's asking his son Jonathan, saying, where's King David? Why didn't he come to the banquet today or yesterday? Keep reading.
And Jonathan answered Saul, David earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem. And he said, let me go, I pray thee, for our family have a sacrifice in the city. And my brother, he hath commanded me to be there. And now, if I have found favor in thy eyes, let me get away, I pray thee, and see my brethren. Therefore he cometh not unto the king's table.
So Jonathan is laying out to King Saul the plan that him and David, Salakia, I'm gonna make him king already. The plan David and him devised. David didn't really go to Bethlehem. David is in the field hiding right now, but he wanted to tell King Saul this to see how he would respond. Let's keep reading. We're going to 30, right?
Because God.
All right.
Verse 30. Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan.
His own son. David told Jonathan, if King Saul gets upset that I'm not here, if he gets angry, then surely he wants to kill me. That's why he's angry, because David's not there, because Saul had planned on killing King David once he attended that banquet. And so now he's like, man, he messed up my plans. So now King Saul's mad at Jonathan for granting him the leave, according to their story. Keep reading.
And he said unto him, thou son of perverse, rebellious woman.
Thou son of perverse, rebellious woman. It's funny, Israel's the same, because we still got a term we call it today. We call it SOBs. You son of a B. He called his own son, you son of a perverse, rebellious woman. You know what I'm saying? He's shaming him. He's cursing him. Keep reading.
Do not I know that thou hast chosen the son of Jesse to thy own confusion, and unto the confusion of thy mother's nakedness?
Meaning he's saying that King Saul knows Jonathan is showing favor to King David at this point, and it's making King Saul angry because he has plans to do wickedness unto David. That's into that.
Come on. And Saul just gotta. It happens when you are chosen for a position, but you might fail at that job. So easily, the Most High is going to find somebody else or another man for that position. And Saul just didn't want to give up that position. David was anointed by another prophet, by Samuel, and chosen by the Most High to be the next king.
Right. Because
Saul failed. Saul was not ready to give up his seat. That's why he's trying to kill David. So right. Saul is going against the Most High.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What does it mean by the mother's nakedness?
It's like shame, just talking about shame. Okay. Like you shameful, like you going against your own father. Read the part you're talking about here.
Come on. It said, know that thou hast chosen the son of Jesse to thy own confusion, and to the confusion of thy mother's nakedness.
Are you confused? Like, I'm the king, But you choosing, somebody that's you going against me, and I'm your father.
Right.
You shameful. That's what it's saying. Like, just about shame. All right. That's what I'm saying.
Come. Been up here. I imagine, which means to stand.
Go ahead, Sluggy. Right, we'll continue.
Come.
Continue.
Keep on. Come. Yeshavia. So we're gonna go to the next 7 in Hebrew. Where we at?
It's 1 Samuel 20, 31 through 37, sir.
All right. You two up and go another 7?
Come.
Let's rock and roll.
1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 31. Kaya, Kal, Hayam Yam, Ashar, Bana, Slaki, Ban, Yeshaya, Kaya, Al, Ha'adama, La'ah, Thakawan, Atha'a, Wamalaka, Wamalak, Wa'ataha, Shalak, Wakak, Athawa, Alaya, Kaya, Ban, Mawath, Hawa'a, verse 32. Waya Ain, Yahawanat, Wahayanathan, Yahawanathan.
That's Jonathan in the Hebrew. Yahawanathan.
I Sha'awal, Abanawa, Waya Amar, Ala Yawa, Lama'a, Yawamath, Ma'a, Aisha, verse 33. Waya Akah, Sha'awal, I Hakana Ya, Ila Yawa, Lahakatawa, Waya Dai, Yahawanat, Wayanathan, Kaya, Kala'a, Haya, Ma'ain, Abayawa, Lahamayath, I, Dawada, verse 34. Wayakam, Wayahanatan, Ma'ain, Hashalakam, Bakaraya, Aga, Wala'a, Akal, Bayawam, Hakash, Hashanaya, Lakam, Kaya, Wana Ira, Quatana, Imawa, verse 36. Waya Amar, Lana Irawa, Rataza, Mataza'a, Naya, Ith, Hakatazarian, Ashar, Anakaya, Mara'a, Anaira, Rataza, Wahara'a, Yara'a, Hakatazaria, La'ai Barawa, verse 37. Wayaba'a, Hanaira, I Microwam, Hakatazaria, Ashar, Wa Yara'a, Yaharanathiya, Wahawanathian, Wanahatan, Wayakora, Wahawanathian, Akaraya, Anaira, Haya Amar, Halawa'ah, Hakataziah, Mamaka, Wahala'ayah, verse 38.
That's it. Okay, that's it. There we go. First Samuel 20 and 30.
1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 30. And Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan, and he said unto him, Thou son has to preserve rebellious women. Oh, verse 31. Sorry. Verse 30, 1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 31. For as long as the son Jesse liveth upon the ground, it shall not be established, nor thy kingdom. Wherefore now send and fetch him unto me, and he shall surely die.
Slightly, if I may. That first verse you just read, this is what he was saying before. King Saul's telling Jonathan, as long as David lives, you won't get the kingdom. He's trying to appeal to his son, like, man, you siding with him. As long as he's alive, you won't come into power, because King Saul at this time knows that the Most High is done with him and he has chosen King David. He knows that the Lord is showing favor to David. So he's trying to plead with Jonathan, like, man, as long as you siding with him, you're not gonna get the throne.
So that it's still wicked because, okay, just like a father, like Saul is the father, Jonathan is his son. So when the father passes away, the son is supposed to become next king.
Right.
So that's how you're trying to get him. Like, oh, you choosing somebody outside your family.
Right.
You choosing David. If David's king, you're not going to be able, to be king.
Right.
But you can't fight against the Most High. Most High already made his decision.
Yeah, right.
Oh, and about the nakedness thing too. Nakedness and shame in the Bible, they always talk about nakedness and shame. When a woman or any man is naked, if someone sees your nakedness, that's like not your husband or not your wife, is shameful.
Right.
Just like just like in the story with Noah. When Noah was drunk and he got naked, his sons went to cover him up, but they didn't look at him. They walked in backwards. Like they had if Noah's laying this way, they had their head turned this way. They covered him like that.
Right.
They didn't look at him. Look at his nakedness. They covered him like that.
Come.
So that's why nakedness and shame. It's shameful to see someone naked.
Right.
That's why they will say. That's why he said, like, your mother's nakedness or shame. That's what to make it more clear. You can go ahead.
Verse 32. And Jonathan answered Saul his father and said unto him, Wherefore shall he be slain? What hath he done? Verse 33. And Saul cast a javelin at him to smite him, whereby Jonathan knew that it was determined of his father to slay David. So Jonathan arose to the table in fierce anger, and did eat no meat to the second day. So did eat no meat the second day of the month, for he was grieved for David, because his father have done him shame.
And this goes to the point also the y'all just brought out. It's shame. Like, that's why Jonathan rose up with anger, because he was shamed for what Saul said, and then Saul just tried to kill his own son. This is how much he wanted to do evil to King David.
Just how, like, he since his son didn't choose his side, he tried to throw a javelin at his own son. He didn't kill him, but it's like, and his son is mad, but it's like, that's how wicked he got. Like, at this time, he just fighting against the Most High.
Right.
Even so much he was trying to, kill his son.
Right.
So, was this in front of everybody?
Yeah.
And they're fighting like this in front of everybody.
Yeah. Just like you at a family reunion. Or you had one of those family dinners. It's a disagreement.
Yeah.
And a fight breakdown in front of everybody. Yep. Don't matter if the little kids around or the older or grandma or grandpa's around.
Right.
It don't even matter. It's going down. Go ahead.
Verse 35. And it came to pass in the morning that Jonathan went out into the field at the time appointed with David, and a little lad with him. And he said unto his lad, Run, find out now the arrow which I shoot. And as the lad ran, he shot an arrow behind him. And when the lad was come upon the place of the arrow which Jonathan had shot, Jonathan cried after the lad and said, Is not the arrow beyond thee? And Jonathan cried after the lad.
It's like this. That was 37.
37, Most High Christ the water.
Keep on going.
Double pass, sir. We'll keep going. We're gonna do the first. Slides.
Could you break that down as far as him throwing the arrow? What was the?
He about to what we gonna read the next in Hebrew, then we're gonna break it down all together. Okay.
1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 38.
I did this.
Okay, come on.
1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 38. Wayakura, Yahanna, Akariah, Hanaira, Mahara, Kawasha, Al, Tha'amad, Wayalakwat, Naira, Yahanna, Af, Hakatazaya, Wayaba'a, Al, Adanayawa. Verse 39. Wahana La'a, Yadai, Ma'awama, Aka, Yahawana, Wadawada, Yadaiwa, Af, Hadabar. Verse 40. Wayathan, Yahawanathan, Af, Kalayawa, Al, Hanaira, Ashar, Lawa, Wayamar, Lawa, Laka, Habaya, Ha'ayara. Verse 41. Hanaira, Ba'a, Wadawada, Kwam, Ma'atazal, Hanagab, Wayapala, La'apayawa, Arataza, Wayashathakwa, Shalash, Pa'amayam, Wayashakwa, Ayash, Ash, Ra'ihawa, Wayabkawa, Ayash, Af, Ra'ihawa, Dawada, Hagadiah. Verse 42. Waya Amar, Yahawanathan, Ladawada, Laka, La Shalawam, Ashar, Nashabainawa, Shanayanawa, Anakanawa, Basham, Yahawa, La Amar, Yahawa, Yahaya, Bayanya, Wabayanka, Wabayan, Zariah, Wabayan, Zarika, Iwalam, Wayakwam, Wayalak, Wayahawanathan, Ba'a, Hayaira. What verse we going to, the question?
That's going to 21, 1 and 2, sir.
Okay. 1 Samuel chapter 21, verse 1. Wayaba'a, Dawada, Naba, Al, Akayamalak, Hakahan, Wayakarad, Akayamalak, Lakwa Ra'af, Dawada, Waya Amar, Lawa, Marawa, Atha, Labadka, Wa'ayash, Ayan, Athak, Waya Amar, Dawada, La'akayamalak, Hakahan, Hamalak, Tazawanya, Dabar, Waya Amar, Aliyah, Ayash, Al, Yadai, Ma'awama, Af, Hadabar, Ashar, Anakaya, Shalakaya, Wa'ashar, Tazawayafka, Wa'af, Hana-Iriam, Yawad Aithia, Al, Makwawam, Palanya, Alamawanya. That's it. Yep, in English.
1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 38. And Jonathan cried after the lad, make speed haste, stay not. And Jonathan's lad gathered up the arrows and came to his master. But the lad knew not anything, only Jonathan and David knew the matter. And Jonathan gave his artillery unto his lad, and said unto him, go, carry them to the city. And as soon as the lad was gone, David arose out of the place toward the south, and fell on his face to the ground. And
so the answer your question, the arrow, when he shot the arrow was it was like a signal between because David was hiding in the field because he knew King Saul was trying to kill him. The arrow between Saul's son Jonathan and David, I believe when he shot the arrow, if David came right out, I'll go back but it was if he came right out, then everything was cool. But if not, then it was a message. It was a message just basically showing if David knew that he had to leave and flee, or if David knew he was able to come back to the kingdom or come back in that area where King Saul was at. That's why he cried, because when he shot the arrow, David didn't react. So, he knew it was a message. Okay, well, I know then we both know that David has to leave. And then Jonathan and David were good friends. And but it was tough because just like you having a good friend, your father's trying to kill him, and now your friend has to flee and leave.
Right.
So it's a sad thing. Go ahead, you continue.
And bowed himself 3 times, and they kissed one another and wept one with another.
And they did not physically kiss.
Yeah, God.
They didn't physically kiss. It was a salute.
Right.
They saluted each other, hugged each other. Go ahead, continue.
And wept with one another.
And they cried because they knew that they would. This is my homie, and I know we gotta separate. You know what I'm saying? I remember just like something personal, like when I grew up with my boys, and then some of my boys would go out and they had to go to college. I'm happy that they go, they're going to get their education. But at the time, that feeling, you got that feeling because your homie going to be gone for a couple years, 2 years or 4 years, will be gone. Some of them might not come home for break or something like that. So you have that feeling of, you're going to miss them.
Right.
And that's how it was.
Right.
Go ahead.
Until David exceeded. Verse 42. And Jonathan said to David, go in peace, for as much as we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying, the Lord be between me and thee, and between my seed and thy seed forever. And he arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city. Then came David to Nob, to Ahimelech the priest, and was afraid at the meeting of David, and said unto him, Why art thou alone, and no man with thee? Verse 2. And David said to Ahimelech the priest, the king hath commanded me a business, and have said unto me, let no man know anything of the business whereabout I send thee, and what I have commanded thee. I have appointed my servants to such and such a place.
You're going to do the next 7 verses in Hebrew. Get it again. Okay. First chapter 21, verse 3. YAHANNA, Maha, Yeshab, Thakath, Yadka, Kamashah, Lakam, Tana, Bayadya, Awa, Hanamatazah. Verse 4. Wayain, Hakahan, Af, Dawada, Waya Amar, Ayan, Lakam, Ka, Al, Thakath, Yadya, Kaya, Am, Lakam, Kodash, Yesha, Am, Nashamarwa, Hanairiam, Aka, Ma'asha. Verse 5. Wayain, Dawada, Af, Hakahan, Waya Amar, Lawa, Kaya, Ama, Asha, Itazara, Lanwa, Katamawa, Shalasham, Bataza Athya, Wayahayawa, Kalaya, Hanairiam, Kudash, Wa'a, Dorak, Kal, Wa'a, Kaya, Hayawam, Yakudash, Bakalaya. Verse 6. Wayathan, Lawa, Hakahan, Kudash, Kaya, La'a, Haya, Sham, Lakam, Kaya, Ama, Lakam, Hapanyam, Hama Wasarayim, Malapanya, Yahweh, Lashawam, Lakam, Kam, Bayawam, Halakawa. Verse 7. Washam, Ayash, Ma'ibadya, Sha'awal, Bayawam, Hahawa'a, Na'itazara, Lapanya, Yahweh, Washamwa, Da'aga, Ha'adamya, Abayar, Hara'ayam, Ashar, La Sha'awal, Waya'amar, Dawuda, La Akayamalak, Wa'ayan, Yasha, Pasha, Thakath, Yadka, Kanayath, Awa, Karab, Kaya, Gum, Karabya, Wagum, Kalaya, La'a, Laquathia, Bayadya, Kaya, Haya, Dabar, Hamalak, Nakawataza. Verse 9, Waya Amar, HaKahan, Karab, Galayath, HaPalashathia, Ashar, HaKayath, Ba'amak, Ha'alah, Hana, Haya'ah, Lawataha, Bashamlaha, Akaraya, Ha'apawar, Atha, Thakwak, Laka, Kwak, Kaya, Ayan, Akarath, Zawalathan, Bazah, Waya Amar, Dawada, Ayan, Kamawa, Tana, Laya.
That's it, sir.
Kawai. We'll start class reading the English.
First Samuel chapter 21, verse 3. Now therefore, what is under thy hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand, or what there in present is present. Sorry. Verse 4. The priest answered David and said, there was no common bread under my hand, but there is hollowed bread. If the young men have kept themselves at least from women. And David answered the priest and said unto him, of a truth women have been kept from us about these 3 days since I came out, and the vessel of the young men are holy, and the bread is in my manner common. Yea, there was sacrifice this day in the vessel. So the priest gave him hollowed bread, for there was no bread, but there but the showbread.
Showbread.
Oh, sorry.
The showbread is what we have up here. It's the bread that they keep in the temple, and it's for show. You know what I'm saying?
Showbread that was taken from before the Lord, to put not bread in the day when it was taken away. Verse 7. Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there that day, detained before the Lord, and his name was Doeg, an Edomite, the chiefest of the herdmen that belonged to Saul. And David said to Ahimelech, and is there not there under thy hand spear or sword? For I have neither brought my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's business required haste. Verse 9. And the priest said, the sword of Goliath, the Philistine, whom thou slewest in the valley of Elah, behold, it is here wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If thou wilt take that, take it, for there is no other save that here. And David said, there is none like that. Give it to me. Verse 10.
That's it. What's on Christ?
Is this the precept that Yahushua was saying when the Pharisees and Sadducees tried to cut him and his disciples when they were eating on the Sabbath?
But you have to pull it. The precept you're talking about.
Well,
you have to find a precept and pull the precept.
Come.
Okay. Go ahead. See.
Keep going. Come. We're going to do the Hebrew. 1 Samuel chapter 21, verse 10. Wayakwam, Dawada, Wayabarak, Bayawam, Hahawa'ah, Mapanya, Sha'awal, Wayaba'ah, Al, Akayash, Malak, Gath. Verse 11. Waya'amara, Ibadya, Akayash, Alyawa, Halawa'ah, Zahab, Dawada, Malak, Ha'arataza, Halawa'ah, Lazar, Ya'inawa, Bamaklawath, La'amar, Hakab, Sha'awal, Ba'alapwa, Wadawada, Barabathafwa. Verse 12, Wayasham, Dawada, Ath, Hadabarium, Ha'ala, Balabawa, Wayora'ah, Ma'ad, Mapanya, Akayash, Malak, Gath. Verse 13, Wayashanwa, Ath, Ta'imawa, Ba'ayanayoham, Wayathamhala, Bayadma, Wayathaf, what's like it, Wayathwa, Al, Delathawath, Hasha'ira, Werad, Wayarawa, Al, Zakwanwa, verse 14. Waya Amal, Akayash, Al, Ibadiwa, Hana, Tara'awa, Ayash, Mashataga, Lama, Tabaya'awa, Athwa, Alawa, Kasar, Mashagayim, Anaya, Kaya, Haba Atham, Ath, Zaha, Lahasha Al Ilaya, Hazah, Yabawa Al, Bayathaya. What verse we going to, Bukash?
That is 1 Samuel 22 and 1.
1 Samuel 22 and 1.
1
Samuel chapter 22, verse 1. Wayalak, Dawada, Masham, Wayamalat, Al, Ma'irath, Idalam, Wayashamawa, Akayawa, Wakal, Bayath, Wabayawa, Wayaradwa, Alyawa, Shema, verse 2.
That's it, sir.
The what?
Like it, sir. I got the precept.
Okay, go ahead.
It's Mark 2 and 25 and 26. And he said unto them, have ye never read what David did when he had need and was hungered, he and they that were with him? How he went into the house of God in the days of Abiathar the high priest, and did eat the showbread, which is not lawful to eat, but for the priests, and gave also to them that were with him.
Right. So yeah, that's what that precept was talking about. Because now David, since King Solomon was trying to kill him, David is on the run. So now he comes into the school, or the place of where we do the Sabbath, where they do the Sabbath service, and this is for showbread, just to show that it's just showbread. I'll give you the purpose of the showbread, and it wasn't supposed to be eaten. Only the priest will handle the bread or eat the bread or whatever, But there's no sweat to give David the bread.
Right.
Like if we're gonna eat the bread, David, and he's anointed to be king, it's like, hey, what I'm saying? Like you can, or anybody, even if it's a poor man, like really the priest could have gave a poor man who was not even anointed by the Lord. If they wanted to give a brother some of the bread, like they can give him the bread.
Right. But
it was a law at that time that, that they couldn't eat it or something like that,
Okay.
That's it.
1 Samuel chapter 21, verse 10. And David arose and fled that day for fear of Saul, and went to Achish the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said unto him, is not this David the king of the land? Did they not sing one to another of him in dances, saying, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. And David laid up these words in his heart, and was sore afraid of Achish the king of Gath. And he changed his behavior before them, and feigned himself mad in their hands.
So what's going on right now is David's reputation had preceded him all the way into another place, and so this king is looking at him like this is David. Like we heard about David. Saul killed 1,000, David killed 10,000. So he's like, why is he coming to us in this manner? He by himself. He don't have people with him, and so David is afraid that this cat's gonna figure out something that's going on. So it says David feigned mad, meaning David acting like he was just outright crazy. He acting like he was crazy, and he's gonna read right here the things he was doing.
And scrappled on the doors of the gate, and let his spittle fall down upon his bread.
So what David is doing is he scratching on the door, and he let the spit drill and he acting like that's why he's here. They banished him out because he didn't lost his mind, so that they won't think David is fleeing from King Saul. Let us catch him. So he's doing that to fake it. Of course.
Like, is he acting like the Christians that having the Holy Ghost?
Nah, he's acting like when you black and you trying to get some benefits.
Yeah.
And you get benefits for you get some kind of benefits for being crazy.
Right.
Sometimes when you at court, you gotta act crazy so you plead insanity.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right.
Go ahead.
SSI check.
Yeah.
So your side check.
SSI check.
Yeah, you get SSI check. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Right. God.
So like go to 1 Samuel 20 and 20 real quick. Read that. Yeah, 1 Samuel 20 and 20. So I can explain the signal. So to explain what was going on between when John why he shot the arrow and what the signal meant. This is breaking down the signal. So Jonathan and David, since David knew the king was trying to kill him, and John was trying to say, look, my father's not trying to kill you, but here, look, we're gonna find out. We're gonna make a plan to see if he's trying to kill you or not. You hide out here, and then when we have this feast, and then, so David was like, if I have this when y'all have the feast, I'm not gonna show up to the feast. If your father gets upset and asks about me, then surely he's trying to kill me.
Right.
But if your father asks about me and you tell him, yeah, I gave him leave, I told him that he needs to go somewhere with his family or whatever, and the king says, okay, he had to go away and make a sacrifice or go with his family, that's cool. Then that means that David is not trying to kill him. So now David is hiding, and then after the feast is over, after 3 days, David said, I'm going to come with a kid. I'm going to shoot an arrow. If I shoot the arrow to the side, like to the side of him, if I shoot the arrow and I say the arrow's over to the side, or if I shoot it in front of him and say the arrow's just there beyond you, go retrieve it. If he shot it to the side, that means everything was good. If he shot the arrow beyond the boy, straight forward in front of the boy, then that meant that David for sure was trying to kill him. Right. And that was a signal to David. And go ahead and read it. So we'll read it now.
1 Samuel chapter 20, verse 20. And I will shoot 3 arrows on the side thereof, as though I shot at a mark. Mm-hmm. Verse 21. And behold, I will send a lad, saying, go find out the arrows. If I expressly say unto the lad, behold, the arrows are on this side of thee, take them, then come down, for there is a peace to thee.
See, so if I shoot the arrows to the side of him and I tell him go retrieve it on the right side or the left side, then that means everything is good.
Right.
But go ahead.
And no hurt as the Lord liveth.
Right. So my father's not trying to. If I shoot these arrows to the side, then my father is not trying to kill you.
Right.
Go ahead.
But if I say thus unto the young men, behold, the arrows are beyond thee, go thy way, for the Lord hath sent thee away.
Right. So if you shoot some beyond and retrieve them, then that means okay, the Lord, go ahead and leave. Go ahead and flee south because they're trying to kill you.
Right.
So that was a signal.
Right.
You can go back to where you was at.
I'm sorry.
Verse 14.
14. 1 Samuel chapter 21, verse 14. Then said Achish unto his servants, lo, ye see the man is mad, wherefore then have ye brought him to me. Verse 15. I have need of mad men, that ye have brought his fellows to play the madman in my presence. Shall this fellow come into my house? David therefore departed thence and escaped to the cave Adullam, and when his brethren and all his father's house heard it, they went down to him. Verse 2.
That's it.
Okay, God, we'll continue in the Hebrew.
We got left. What parts we got left?
2 more parts.
All right.
14 verses, sir.
God. We have 1 Samuel 22 and
22 and 2 through 8, sir.
We got to read one more, and then the second one we got to pick up next week.
Come on, sir. Y.A.H.P.K, Batazawa, Aliyawa, Kal, Ayash, Batazawak, Wakal, Ayash, Ashar, Lawa, Nasha'a, Wakal, Ayash, Morah, Napash, Wayahaya, Al-Yaham, Lashar, Wayahawa, Wayahayawa, Imawa,
Ka'arabai, Ma'awath, Ayas, verse 3. Wayalak, Dawada, Masham, Matazapa, Mawa'ab, Mawa'aba, Waya Amar, Malak, Mawa'aba, Yataza'ah, Na'a, Abaya, Wa'amya, Athakam, Ashar, Adai, Maha, Ya'isha, Laya, Alahayim, verse 4. Wayanakam, Lapanya, Panya, Malak, Mawa'aba, Wayashabwa, Imawa, Ka, Yamya, Hayawath, Dawada, Bamatazawada, verse 5. Wayamar, God, Hanabaya'a, Dawada, La'a, the Shah, Bamatazawada, Laka, Waba'ath, Laka, Arataza, Yahawada, Wayalak, Dawada, Wayaba'a, Ya'ira, Korath, verse 6. Wayashema, Sha'awal, Kaya, Nawada, Dawada, Anashiam, Ashar, Athwa, Washa'awal, Yawashab, Bagaiba, Thakath, Ha'ashar, Baramat, Wakana Yathawa, Bayadwa, Waka, Ibadyawa, Natazabian, Alyawa, verse 7. Waya Amar, Sha'awal, La Ibadyawa, Hanatazayam, Alyawa, Shemaiwa, Na'a, Banya, Yamyanya, Gum, Lakam, Yathan, Bun, Yeshaya, Shadawath, Wakaramyam, Lakam, Yeshayim, Shariah, Alapayim, Washariah, Ma'awath, verse 8. Kaya. What verse we going to, because?
Verse 8 is the last one. So.
Okay. Kaya. Kwaratham. Kalakan. Alyam. Wa'ayan. Galak. Ath. Azanya. Bakarath. Banya. Ain. Bun. Yeshaya. Wa'ayan. Kala. Makam. Alia, Wagala, Ath, Azanya, Kaya, Hakoyam, Banya, Ath, Ibadia, Alia, La'ara, Kayawam, Hazah.
1 Samuel chapter 22, verse 2. And everyone that was in distress, and everyone that was in debt, and everyone that was discontented gathered themselves to him, and he became a captain over them. And there were with him about 400 men. And David went thence to Mizpeh of Moab, and he said unto the king of Moab, Let my father and my mother, I pray thee, come forth and be with you till I know what God will do for me. And he brought them before the king of Moab, and they dwelt with him in all while that David was in the hold. And the prophets Gad said unto David, Abide not in the hold, depart, and get thee into the land of Judah. Then David departed and came unto the forest of Harath. When Saul heard that David was discovered, and the men that were with him, now Saul abode in Gibeah under a tree of Ramah, having his spear in his hand, and all his servants were standing about him. And Saul said unto his servants that stood about him, Hear now, Ye Benjamite, will the son of Jesse give every one of you fields and vineyards, and make you all captains of thousands and captains of hundreds. Verse 8.
So like I mentioned, what's going on right now is David was once in hiding, and he gathered men and people that were pretty much not abolished, but people that were not really in good favor of Saul already. So all these people, David and his brethren, they all came together and gathered together with David. So now he has an army rolling with him. And then the king of Moab told him to not stay in his cave because these brothers was hiding out in his cave. He told him to go to the land of Judah. So now they went to the land of Judah, hide in the forest. Saul found out. And so now Saul is talking to his soldiers like, you know what I'm saying, is David going to give you vineyards? Meaning he's saying, who is going to make you rich? David can't give you anything. Do what I tell you, like follow me. And what Saul wants to do is get these soldiers, these Benjamites, to kill David. So that's what we're reading right here.
Verse 8, that all of you have conspired against me, and there was none that shewed me that my son have made a league with the son of Jesse. And there is none of you shewed unto me that my son have stirred up my servants against me, to lie in wait, as at this day.
That's it. What's our correct? It's up here. I imagine was we stand. Sucks. You can do the horse.
La Yasha.
Do another one, sir. Wapu Yahweh, which means turn to face the east. Imagine stand. Wapu Yahweh, means turn to face the east. Yeah, you got it. No sweat, sir. The water, sir. We're going to do the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew first. Repeat after me. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, I.S.U.P.K, Yahweh, Malak Taba'ah, Ratazak, I.S.U.P.K, Baratazak, Kawak, Hashemayim, Come, Yawam, Wasalak now, Wala'ah, now, Banasaya one, Ball, Hawashai now, Mayun, Ra, Kaya, Lakak, Hamalakwa, Wahatapara, La'ai Amun.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us of our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever.
So be it. We're gonna do the Hakak, which is the power. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Baba Kushah, Lethelanawa, Hakak, Larpa'ah, Kamadawah, Latahar, Hamatazariah, Hakak, Hamathia, Arakawa, Patama Allah, Lagarashan, Bahashem, Yahushua, the water Amun.
Yahweh. In the name of Yahushua. Please give us the power. The power to heal. All manner of sickness. And all manner of disease. The power to cleanse the leper. The power to raise the dead. The power against unclean spirits. To cast them out. In the name of Yahushua. Thank you.
So be it. We're going to do Psalms 121. Asha, Ayanya, Ahahari, Ma'ayan, Yaba'a, Isaiah, Ma'ayin, Yahweh, I.S.U.P.K, Shemaiah, Waharatiza, Al-Yathan, number what? Regalka, Al-Yanawam, Shemarka, Hana, La'a, Yanawam, Mala'a, Yayashan, Shawamal, Yasha'alam, Yahweh, Shemarka, Yahweh, Tazalka, Al-Yad, Yamyaka, Yawamam, Hashemah, La'a, Yakaka, Wayarak, Malayala, Yahweh, Yashamarka, Bakal Rad, Yashamal, Athnapashka, Yahweh, Yashamal, Taza'afka, Wawa'aka, Ma'aifa, Wa'aid Abalam, Aman.
In English, I will lift up my eyes into the hills.
From
whence cometh my help?
My help?
My help cometh from Yahweh.
My help coming from Yahweh,
Which made heaven and earth.
which made heaven and earth.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He will not suffer thy foot to be moved.
He that keepeth thee
He that keepeth thee
will not slumber.
Behold,
He that keepeth Israel
he that keepeth
shall
Israel
neither slumber nor sleep.
shall neither slumber nor sleep.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy keeper.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand.
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
The sun shall not smite thee by day,
nor the moon by night.
nor the moon by night.
Yahweh shall preserve thee
Yahweh shall preserve thee
from all evil.
from all evil.
He shall preserve thy soul.
He shall preserve thy soul.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out.
Yahweh shall preserve thy going out
And thy coming in.
and thy coming in.
This time forth.
From this time forth.
And even forevermore.
And even forevermore.
So be it.
So be it. So we're going to do Psalms 83. Alahayim. Al. Demayalaka. Al-Thakarash. Wa'al. Kashakwat. Al. Kaya. Hana. Awayadyaka. Yahama Yawan. Wamashanayaka. Nasha'awa. Ra'ash. Al-Imaka. Ya'ara Yamwa. Sawad. Wayata Ya'itazawa. Al-Tazapawanyaka. Amara. Lakawa. Wanakapyadam. Magalia. Wala'a. Yasakal. Sham Yasha'ala. Iwad. Kaya. Nawa'itazawa. La. Yakatwa. Al-Yaka. Baryaf. Yakarathwa. Ahawya. Adawam. Wayashima'alia. Mawa'aba. Wahadaria. Gabal. Wa'amawa. Wa'amalak. Palashak. And Yashabia. Tazawar. Gab Ashawar. Nalawa. Imam. Hayawa. Zarawat. Labanya Lawat. Salat. Aisha. Laham. Kamatyan. Kasaya Sarah. Kayabyan. Banakal. Koyashwan. Nashamatwa. Ba'ayan. Da'ara. Hayawa. Daman. La'adama. Shayathamwa. Nadiyamwa. Ka'ara. Wakaza'aba. Wakazabak. Wakatazamana. Kab. Nasaya Kamwa. Ashar. Amara. Nayarashak. Nanawat. Af. Na'awat. Alahaya. Shayathamwa. Kagagala. Kakwash. Lapanya Wakab. Ka'ash. Taba'ira Ya'ira. Wakala Haba. Talahat. Haryam. Khan. Garadatma. Wasa'irika. Wabaso Pafka. Kabahalam. Hala'a. Panyaham. Kwalawan. Wayabakwashwa. Shimka. Yahweh. Yabashwa. Wayabahawa. Ayai. Wayakaparwa. Wayabadwa. Wayadaiwa. Kaya. Atha. Shimka. Yahweh. Labaka. Al-Yawan. Ka. Harataza. Aman.
English.
Just write this right here. Absolutely. No sweat, sir.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh.
And hold not thy peace.
And hold not thy peace.
And be not still.
And be not still.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
For lo.
Thy
enemies make a tumult.
Thy enemies make a tumult.
And they that hate thee.
And they that hate thee.
Have lifted up the head.
Have lifted up the heads.
They have seeking crafty counsel.
They have seeking crafty counsel.
Against thy people.
Against thy people.
And consulted together.
And consulted together.
Against thy hidden ones.
Against thy hidden ones.
They have said.
Come.
And let us cut them off.
And let us cut them off.
Being a nation.
From being a nation.
That the name of Israel.
That the name of Israel.
May be no more in remembrance.
May be no more in remembrance.
They have taken crafty counsel again. They have consulted together.
They have consulted together.
With one consent.
With one consent.
They are confederate against thee.
They are confederate against
the
thee.
tabernacles of Edom.
The tabernacles of Edom.
And the Ishmaelites.
And the Ishmaelites.
Of Moab.
Of Moab.
And the Hagarenes.
And the Hagarenes.
Gebal.
And
Ammon.
Ammon.
And Amalek.
And Amalek.
The Philistines.
The Philistines.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
With the inhabitants of Tyre.
Asher also is joined with them.
Asher is also joined with
They
them.
have hope in the children of Lot.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Salah.
Salah.
Do unto them.
Do unto them.
As unto the Midianites.
As unto the Midianites.
As to Sisera.
As to Sisera.
As to Jabin.
As to Jabin.
At the brook of Kissam.
At the brook of Kissam.
Which perished at Endor.
Which perished at Endor.
They became as dung for the earth.
They became as dung for the earth.
Make their nobles like a red.
Make their nobles like a red.
And like Zed.
And like Zed.
Yea.
Yea.
Make their princes.
Make their princes.
As Sabbath.
As Sabbath.
And as Amuna.
And as Amuna.
Who said? Let us take to ourselves.
Let us take to ourselves.
The house of Yahweh possession.
The houses of Yahweh possession.
Oh my power.
Oh my power.
Make them like a wheel.
Make them like a wheel.
As a stubble before the wind.
As a stubble before the wind.
As a fire burns the wood.
As a fire burns the wood.
And as a flame set the mountains on fire.
As a flame set the mountains on fire.
So persecute them.
So persecute them.
With thy tempest.
With thy tempest.
And make them afraid.
And make them afraid.
With thy storm.
With thy storm.
Fill their faces with shame.
Fill their faces with shame.
That they may seek thy name.
That they may seek thy name.
O Yahweh.
O Yahweh.
Let them be confounded.
Let them be confounded.
And trouble forever.
And trouble forever.
Yea.
Yea.
Let them be put to shame.
Let them be put to shame.
And perish.
And perish.
That men may know.
That men may know.
That thou.
That thou.
Whose name alone.
Whose name alone.
Is Yahweh.
Is Yahweh.
Art the most high.
Art the most high.
Over all the earth.
Over all the earth.
So be it.
So be it. Go through the blessings. Barakatah Yahweh.
Barakatah Yahweh.
Wa Yahweh Shah.
Wa Yahweh Shah.
Wa Mayaka Allah.
Wa Mayaka Allah.
Wa Alahai.
Wa Alahai.
Wa Tazabaya.
Wa Tazabaya.
Alawak Yahan.
Alawak Yahan.
Ha Alawak.
Ha Alawak.
Ha Saranya.
Ha Saranya.
Ha Kotzayami.
Ha Kotzayami.
Ha Kayayoya.
Ha Kayayoya.
Wa Hakwathia.
Wa Hakwathia.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Bahashim.
Bahashim.
Yahweh Shah.
Yahweh Shah.
The one Aman.
One Aman.
Okay, come on, come. And with that, Saw. Since you have go ahead, have a seat. Men of Israel, we're gonna give one courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel, we'll give one courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel, Amadu Shabbat, Amajim, Barak,
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabbat.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabbat.
Yazmatah. Sisters, you go ahead and stand. Men of Israel, Saw. We're gonna give one courtesy salute to the sisters. Men of Israel, Amadu Shabbat, Amajim, Barak.
Yahweh Shabbat, done by Hashem Yahweh Shah.
Yazmatah, dismissed.
You'll salute out there.
Good.
The Torah.
Men of Israel, gird up thy loins and prepare to salute the Torah. No sweat.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabbat. Yeah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabbat.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabbat.